company I trust, Snap Construction. If your home was hit with the most recent storms, trust the most well-reviewed exterior construction company, Snap Construction, for a free home inspection.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. There are a lot of great construction companies in town. My advice is to take your time and do your research. Make sure they are locally owned and that they guarantee their craftsmanship for life. Also, you want to find a company that's been in business for at least 10 years. You want to work with a company that's going to be there long after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process.
Don't go with the out-of-town fly-by-night contractor. Most storm damage goes missed by the untrained eye. Trust Snap Construction for your free storm damage evaluation. For your free storm damage evaluation, call Snap Construction at 612-333-SNAP or visit them online at snapconstruction.com. That's 612-333-SNAP or snapconstruction.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. A heat advisory remains in effect as we expect clear skies tonight with a low around 71, then Thursday sunny with a high around 88. Discover the best peach cobbler at Latunji's Palate. Enjoy gourmet desserts, sandwiches, and coffee drinks. Find Latunji's at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Satisfy your sweet tooth and support a social enterprise built with purpose and fortified with love at Latunji's Palate. More at latunjispalate.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story. This is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. Before we get started here, I don't think you all realize what I have to go through to bring you quality radio every night. And I've talked to you about the traffic and the roads and the people driving real fast and stuff. But getting to the station tonight, once we get past all of that, and once you actually get to the station, then you have the barriers of nature that surround this building that you can't seem to be able to kind of get around here. So we're kind of in a rural area, the station is at least, and I get out of my car and I go to the station, and it isn't until I'm right at the door that the security light kind of comes on. There is a light, but another security light comes on, and I look down and there are a couple snakes blocking the door for me to get in. And that's great. That's really great. And then I'm like, well, I'll just wait for him to move along. And of course, one kind of starts moving towards me, which, is frightening for me. And, obviously, I've made it, right? I clearly am all right, but still, you just don't know what you're going to find out here. Talking to my guests beforehand, we have turkeys that have been out here. We talk about the ant infestation, the great ant infestation of 2023. Sometimes there's the great popcorn incident that happens here as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And I just need you all to understand what I do for you so I can bring you quality paranormal radio every night. And I hope you appreciate it. I'm just going to be very honest about it, to the point that we are talking about demons tonight. And I am very happy to have on with me tonight author Joseph Stewart, and the book that we are talking about tonight is Demons, a Secular View. A secular look. And honestly, first of all, Joseph, welcome to GhostBox Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you very much for being here. You and I have been talking about you coming on here for, I think, 2 years, honestly.
Yeah, I think it is 2 years.
But we get around to it eventually, I guess, and that's not Joseph's fault, first of all, by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of how those things go. But I'm just like, this book, which I'm holding up for people who are watching on the Facebook feeds and whatnot. This is, first of all, through Schiffer Publishing. This is a beautiful book. It is a very well laid out, very handsome looking book, but it's, you know, it's all about demons and stuff. And these are these all firsthand accounts of what you've dealt with as far as doing it, you call yourself a demon hunter?
Yes, they are all actual accounts that I attended, my experiences.
You know, I find it interesting. I have a lot of people on here. They call themselves, and I'm not saying that like they call themselves demonologists. I mean, they are demonologists. You call yourself a demon hunter. What is the difference between the two?
A demonologist studies demons, which I do. So I'm a demonologist as well.
Okay.
But the other thing that I do is I basically hunt them down. I have a website where people come to me, and we just take it from there.
So people will come to you, and they're gonna tell you what's going on in their lives and what's happening that they may need your help to help them get rid of this situation.
Correct. It's not always demons. Sometimes it's other things, but that's basically what we do.
And the one thing that I always hit on when I think about this stuff is mental health. And I do run into a lot of that where it is, like you said, it's not always demons. It might be like, well, you know, there's something else going on here. I can't help you.
Most cases where it's usually bipolar, because that's the most common.
Sure.
Occasionally, I've had several schizophrenic cases or affective schizophrenia, which is a combination of both of bipolar and schizophrenia. But you have to understand that the demonic is a predator, and it goes after people that it considers weak. And having a disorder like that makes them open for attack, as well as people that are psychic are also open for attack more easily than just regular people that don't have any abilities whatsoever or disorders.
So if you're running into somebody who has a mental illness of some kind, that there's still a possibility that you can't turn that person away. You can't say that, well, it's because of this, therefore it's like we need to do more. We need to dig deeper to make sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can determine if the demonic is there. And what we tell the people is that when we get rid of the demonic, your disorder is going to remain. It may be lessened somewhat because it exacerbates the situation, you know, and I've had rare occasions where it almost totally went away.
Wow.
But it's very complicated, and there's no there's no black and white like in the Hollywood movies. It's a very complicated thing.
Now, you're not an exorcist, right?
Well, what do you define as an exorcist?
Well, and that is the question I'm going to ask you, because the way that I've always understood, and this is where I get confused, and organized religion seems to have a stake in this term, right? And whether rightly or wrongly, it seems that's like I hear that used in a lot of different faith and beliefs. Though someone like somewhere like the Catholic Church puts a stake down saying that's our right. That is our right, RITE. Where do you fall within that?
Yeah, it's exorcism that the Catholics do is proprietary to them.
Yep.
Non-Catholic Christian religions perform what's called deliverance, which is little variations on that, which is basically group prayers and stuff trying to remove the demon. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what I do is called a binding, which is totally different. I don't go through the process of having to have the victim and a priest that can drag out for years trying to get the names of the demons and stuff to be able to take command. And the thing you got to understand is that at the time that they became aware of the demonic hundreds of years ago, the authority at that time was the Catholic Church. And so they put it in their perspective. Mm-hmm. They did a lot of fine work, but they just didn't go far enough with it.
Sure.
But it is in all cultures and all religions.
Right. And
just
it
under
has
different names.
And I was going to say, because it has to be. I mean, this is as old as time, isn't it? I mean, to be able to get rid of evil, dark entities.
Yeah, it's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah. So, and that's the real interesting thing about it. Are you when you're doing the binding? What does that? Is that this? I mean, you kind of touched on it. Is that the same as an exorcism, or you mentioned that it sounds like it's not nearly as long as, say, a Catholic exorcism?
Correct. It's not anything like a Catholic exorcism. It's just basically, it's true that if you have their names, that you have total control over them. You can command them to do anything.
The demons' names?
The demon's name.
Okay.
So I don't even have to be in present of the people. I can be somewhere else. And once I have their names, and there's a whole lot of stuff that we do beforehand, but I go ahead and I summon the demons to myself. And when they come, I bind them to an inanimate object and I more or less make them inert. They're kind of like asleep in a coma type state.
Sure.
Immediately, it's out of that person's environment. Everything changes and it's permanent as far as they're concerned.
Okay. And then you summon these demons, what happens to you then?
Oh, I can get injured depending on the situation because most times I've done a lot of this in the wilderness. I've had places in the past that worked out very well, buildings and things, a little bit more secure. But when I'm out in the wilderness, I have to make sure I'm in a place where nobody's around will walk in accidentally and get harmed. And sometimes, depending on the situation, if I had a group of demons and I take out maybe 4 out of 10 demons, now the other 6 demons are aware of me, and then when I get ready to do the binding with them, then they can attack me before I get set up to do the process.
Are you
so
doing
yeah, I do get injured, yes.
Are you doing this by yourself?
I have people with me off and on, but they don't last very long. I always got a help wanted post out. No, I work with my wife. She's a psychic, very good psychic, and she has the ability to communicate with demons and as well as ghosts. And she has the ability to divine their names. And sometimes I come up with the names. I'll come in dreams and things like that.
That was going to be my question about how, if I mean, it seems like such an Achilles heel for the demons. If you know their names, you can control them. They're never going to want to give out their name. That was going to be my question about how do you get their name. So is there some other power that's kind of sneaking these names to your wife and you, or I find it very interesting that you both can possibly get them just through psychic use and development.
Well, it's more like psychometry in a way, best I can figure. In her case, like we have done cases over in Ireland and England and in South America and other places around the country, and sometimes we need nothing more than the picture of the individual, the victim that's being attacked, or we're talking to them on the phone, and just through that presence, she's immediately able to pick up what's going on and write these names down. And sometimes I'll come up with these names, like I said, in dreams and that. I guess the more I'm around them, the more I get connected. But sometimes my names are partial. I don't have all the name. I don't have it absolutely correct, but she corrects that. And she's been pretty much 100%.
Wow. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, that seems to me that you both have a bullseye on you.
Yeah, in a way we do. Yes, we do.
Has that been
in the early days? Yeah, in the early days, that was a problem. I have been attacked in a home. She's been, they tried to strangle her in our home, and we've learned ways to protect ourselves.
Is that itself also considered a binding of sort? Is that a different sort of thing altogether?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, like to be able to protect yourself in your home, like are you keeping them? You're keeping them out. What does that entail to keep them out?
Oh, things like hawthorn berries. You put hawthorn berries in your windows. That actually is a barrier to them. Salt is a barrier to them.
Mm-hmm.
Certain symbols are a barrier to them, not necessarily religious. It depends on the individual that's being attacked where the religion part comes in.
Sure. I mean, that's pretty incredible. What kind of injuries do you get in these sort of situations? Is it more psychological, or is it actually literally physical?
Yeah, it's physical. I was the closest I came to buying the farm, as they say, was I was working on an El Salvador incubus, and I was going out to the wilderness, and I was down in the swamp area where I was going to do the process, and I was attacked by it. I had a backpack on with about 40 pounds worth of equipment I was using, most of it salt, and it had me pinned to the ground, and I was just within feet of water. I would have drowned. I had my face right into the ground, and it was sitting on top of me, and I knew its name, so I was able to get it off me to complete the process. But yeah, that was a real close one. I've had my knee dislocated. I still got problems with that. They tried breaking my neck. It strained all my muscles in my neck. Bruised ribs, scratches, bites, all kinds of things.
Wow. I mean, and it's what keeps you going?
I guess it's because I know what they are, and you see what they do to even children. And I have the ability to help people in this situation. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. No. And therefore, that's my motivation to do it. I can help, so I'm going to help as much as I can. And that's why I wrote the book, was because I knew it was just too much for me on my own to do. And the book, hopefully people will read it and be aware of it at least. And maybe some people will take up the mantle or take up the gauntlet and, continue on.
So the book is called Demons, A Secular Look. And this is something that I do recommend people taking a look at this. There is a wealth of information and also a wealth of stories. And we're going to talk about some of these here. I also have coming up, I have in the queue here, Kyle has a question for you that we can talk about. And what we'll do, let's get things kind of moving here. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we got those questions. We're going to dive into the book. We're going to ask more about what Joseph is doing, because it's so fascinating. If you have questions, put them in the chat. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's MetamorphosisConnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner Supper Club invites you to Maggie's Lounge, an exciting new bar lounge. It's open Wednesdays through Sundays beginning at 4:30 for cocktails and light fare. And you don't need a ticket to enjoy the great atmosphere of Maggie's. So stop by Crooner Supper Club off Moore Lake and Highway 65 for dinner, drinks, and live music from both big-name local and national artists. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
What's up, pet pals? Coming up on Arden Moore's Four-Legged Life show this week, we will dive into the benefits of purposeful play for cats with Dr. Rachel Geller. We will share the tale of how a dog named Cooper led Tom Eriks to launch his company called Get Joy. Be sure to tune in.
Catch the Four-Legged Life show Sundays at 2 p.m. on AM 950.
And welcome back to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. My name is Greg Bakun. Tonight we are talking with author and demon hunter Joseph Stewart. We're talking about his book, Demons, A Secular Look. I keep wanting to call it a new book, but it is absolutely not a new book. It's just taken me years to get back in touch with Joe. So, but we got you now, Joe. So that's something. So I got a question from the chat room, and Kyle asked you the question: would you speak about the rules of demon interaction? I've heard that they are allowed to fool people, but there is a line that they aren't allowed to cross. What is that line?
Not true. They can do whatever they want. There's no rules.
I mean, why? I mean, it makes sense that there wouldn't be rules. Otherwise, it's kind of a romanticized view, I think, of demons in a way, right? That like vampires, like they can't do certain things. They have to be invited in. Is that part true though? Like demons need to be invited in, or do they literally just prey on anybody?
Demons prey on anybody. They're just like predators in the sense of looking for the weak and the sick. People with that are down and out, bad addictions, alcoholism, that type of thing. You name it. They're always out there looking for somebody. So, and yes, you can invite them in, but you don't have to invite them in to get demons. Right. It seems like, as you had said early in the program, they're going to focus on your weakness, right? That's what they hunger, that's what they crave, right? Correct. So now I got questions myself that are probably going to be, you're probably going to be like, wow, Greg, this isn't a great interview. I answer these things all the time. But I really feel like you're seeing something that I think a lot of other people who I talk to about demons, I don't think they see. And I'm curious about like what some of these situations, if you don't mind me asking some very parochial questions here tonight. But, first of all, you're pinned by one, as you said in the last segment. Yeah. What do these things look like? Whatever your nightmare dreams are, they're basically, you can't see their form because of the realm that they exist in. So basically it's a hallucination. You're seeing what is your greatest fear or your greatest desire. They can make it either way that they can use to manipulate you. Gosh, is there a way to know that it's a demon? I mean, it sounds silly to say, but I mean, boy, they could, if that's the case, that they can be around you all the time without you knowing, basically. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I suppose, perhaps they coexist with us is the best way to say it. They coexist with us. Great. And then, I mean, I suppose once they start, like, especially the ones who look like your greatest fantasies or whatever else, once they start luring you into doubting your moral compass or whatever else, I suppose that could be a sign that something's not right here. Yeah, you'll know eventually, because it may start off very nice and pleasant and promise you the moon. And usually they attack real young people, they're having a hard time in life, and they will be your best pal. And eventually they will turn on you. Sure. They're kind of I guess you would call them like an intangible, non-human entity. And they're driven by an egomania, extreme arrogance, and Machiavellian behavior. They're very manipulative. What is, I mean, the concept of Satan
as far as a head of evil, a head of demons. Is that part of all this, or is that something that is not even considered?
I guess you can look at them like any kind of predator, you know. I mean, they're feeding on us.
Yeah.
They're feeding on our energies and things. And it's very important to create that emotion of fear. And with the sex demons, you know, with sex, all that energy there. And that's what they're doing. They just keep feeding off from us.
The demons are they're intelligent. I get that. I understand that. But would you say their need for chaos, their need to do what they do to people, is that no different than, say, the need of what a piranha needs to do, a need of what a shark or a tiger or a lion, that this is just in their DNA, so to speak, and that this is what they do? There's no demons that's going to turn and become good or anything like that. This is what they are. This is what their existence is for.
This is their nature. Yes, this is their nature. The one thing about them is and the reason I called the book A Secular Look was because if you start viewing the demons with the blinders of a religion, with their dogma, there's a lot of things that you're not going to see and going to omit that could get you killed. So you need to be open-minded and take it out of all that context and look at it for what it really, truly is.
I think that's very smart. And that's kind of what I was getting at for sure when I was asking about like the exorcism and stuff. And, you know, growing up Catholic myself, I mean, I find that all that stuff so fascinating, like the, you know, Vatican and how all that works. But I also need, and I'm learning more and more as time goes on, that there is such a bigger view to just everything in general. This is not meant to put off any Catholics or anything. I'm not having to go at any religion, but when you're looking at something like this, you're going to learn real fast. I'm sure, Joe, that if you're just going to focus on any one religion, you're going to find yourself in a heap of trouble.
Correct. And I work in all religions. I work with cultures that don't have any religions that are afflicted by the demons. So
you said that you can call them in, and that's what can take care of them. But you mentioned also you travel. How much do you do of that now? Do you still go out and travel to locations, or is it mainly more remote?
Yes. I travel usually 1 or 2 states over sometimes, depending. But a lot of it is in the bigger cities, you know, like Grand Rapids here or Detroit, especially. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got 6 new cases already. And this weekend I'll be going to Hazel Park, which is North Detroit, and Pontiac, which is also kind of north of Detroit, both Saturday and Sunday to work these cases.
How do you keep up with it? I mean, you have to be exhausted a lot.
I guess I'm in my stride. I've been doing it for a lot of years. So just knowing what we need to do and, dotting our I's and crossing our T's and being prepared for anything.
And you really do. You have to be absolutely ready for anything.
You got to bring your A game every time.
Every time. There's no room for error.
No, because what they do is they're very masters of, of distraction. If you read that Tennessee case, you'll see how they were distracting people from their task, as well as the Ypsilanti case. You'll also show where it stops the people from doing their exorcism by distracting them with a painting. I think it was a picture of a demon, a painting everybody was fascinated with.
And thank you for telling me how that's pronounced. I had been looking at that, and I was like, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, we have a lot of Indian names around here.
So, and this is the thing, folks. If you're looking for a read, and I've read like I forget the name of the book off the top of my head, but it's about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they're talking about their cases and stuff. If you're looking for a read like that to understand what happens in these actual cases, this is why this book is really interesting and really good, because I mean, that's what I like to read. I like to, it sounds really kind of lame actually saying it out loud, because sometimes you read this stuff and you do get scared, and that's kind of the interesting, dare I say, fun part of it, but there's nothing fun about what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's,
Not
I
really.
feel bad. I feel bad about that because it's not, it's his education, not entertainment, but it's still like, this is like, you get scared by watching The Exorcist. Well, this is what's really going on. And like you said, the way of taking the focus off of one thing and putting it to something else, to kind of take away the attention. And, you know, I've seen that also as a paranormal investigator. I've seen that too, just in cases, not demonic by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen that. And you look back later and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally fell into it. I mean, do you run into that? Are you really good now that you pick up on that right away?
Yeah, I mean, I did ghost hunting for over 40 years. I started back in the 60s when it wasn't popular. Hans Holzer, which Dave Schrader had that show about. I studied a lot of him in the early days, and I'm sure I ran into demons. Now I look back at some of these cases, I know I have, but they don't want you to know about them. If you don't know about them, they can do anything that they want,
and you'll be none the wiser.
That's correct. That's how they work.
Absolutely. So tell me about, kind of veering off a little bit, tell me about what paranormal investigations was like in the 60s. What were you doing? How did that work?
Well, we didn't have all the equipment that you have today. Used a reel-to-reel tape recorder. Yep. They made smaller ones you could take into the field. It's, investigating, getting the information, doing historical investigations, taking good notes, having experiences in that, 35 millimeter photography. We didn't know much about EVPs then, but occasionally you could hear something, on the recorders. And you just tried to help the people as best that you could. Not like you can today with all this technology now. It makes it so much easier, to do it. Right.
I mean, do you feel like the technology is good, or do you think you mentioned that you think that it's gotten a lot better to help people? So it's the equipment and stuff seems to be kind of a positive for you.
Well, it can be a positive. I mean, I prefer using a good psychic.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's some out there that just can really connect to that world and what they're saying. And believe me, I've done hundreds and hundreds of hours of EVP work and stuff. And it's just a lot easier to use a psychic and tune in really quick to what's going on.
I have a couple reel-to-reel players that and recorders that I take out on occasion, because for that very same reason, I like to sometimes record onto analog opposed to digital and see what I can get. And it's really kind of cool.
Except that if you took 2 hours recording, it's going to take you 2 hours to download it into your system.
I know.
Yeah, I've been there.
I know. And the fact too, I don't want to reuse the audio tape either, because I'm afraid it'll bleed through and all that stuff. So no.
You get your best EVPs in the analog.
And that's why I say once in a while I bring it out there.
It's a pain.
So when was it then that you're doing all of this investigation and stuff, and Hans Holzer, absolutely. I'm just, as you may or may not know, we just did an event with Dave Schrader. We talked a lot about Holzer files, and I've got a lot of his books that I've been reading as well. When was it for you that demons started to come into the picture?
2009. I was doing a haunted house. And it was revealed later on that a woman was being basically raped by a demon. She was Catholic, and I didn't believe in demons, but I knew that ghosts can get very feisty and nasty, depending on how they are in life. That's the way they are in death.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought it was. And then it got revealed to me when I went and investigated the previous house that she lived in. That was an incubus that was actually attacking her. And I did not believe it up to that point. And then it was face to face with it. And then I had to believe it.
Was it at that point that you decided that I need to play a role into helping people?
No,
Okay.
it wasn't like that at all. a friend of mine who was the woman's boyfriend, this thing was, he was defying it, trying to protect her, and it was literally eating him away. He was almost like a Holocaust victim, and it was going to kill him. And so I knew it existed, and I had to figure out, how do you fight something like this? And, you know, you go to like the internet and you start looking, and then you say, you know, anybody can say anything out here. So I got to know if it's real or not, because I can get killed out here doing this. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it was a long learning process. And that's what the books basically does. It goes through my whole process and learning how to finally do what I do with demons.
I have to say, you know, all things considered, you got up to speed, so to speak, in a very short amount of time. Really.
I had to. It came after me.
Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You have one or two choices, don't you? You either beat it or you don't, and then if you don't, then that's a completely different
There's
game.
no place on earth you can go that it can't get to you.
What, heaven?
No place on earth.
Oh, I thought you said only place to go if it can't get you. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah, there's no place to go. No, absolutely. That's incredible.
Well, you know, the jinn, you know, the genie as we call them, the jinn are demons. And back in their culture, they went to heaven. They hung out in the 7th level. They had the capabilities of doing that. So I guess in that sense, no, not even heaven.
Yes, not. You are shattering a lot of people's beliefs tonight.
I just want people to be aware and to protect themselves. Just being aware is enough.
It's a start, isn't it? It really is.
Very much a start. Yes.
Yeah. It's just incredible. It really is. And I find it very interesting. I mean, it's almost like, you know, it just kind of plays out for you that you've done, you did all the groundwork from the 60s to, dare I say, like 2009, kind of getting you ready in some way, because even though it's not demons, you followed a path that got you here, and then boom, you're not completely in the dark. Or would you say you were? Maybe you were.
Well, when it came to demons, all I knew was just somewhat, you know, the movies and Hollywood. That's all I knew. And I knew that was a fabrication and exaggeration.
Yeah.
And so I just started studying it. The book is not a regurgitation of all the stuff beforehand. It's actual, you know, experiences that I had, that I learned. I studied their behavior to learn how to control them.
That's incredible. Let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's take our next break here. We're going to talk more about the book Demons, A Secular Look. We're going to get into it a little bit more. I got some other questions. If you have questions, put them in the chat. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950.
If you own a holistic or metaphysical business and are looking to expand, then you need to be listed on metamorphosisconnections.com. It's a network where you can grow with like-minded practitioners and reach new clients. Metamorphosisconnections.com is an online directory you need to list yourself and your business. Our platform makes it easy for you to create listings of your products and services, and you can also choose to list your classes, events, and so much more. Metamorphosisconnections.com helps you create weekly and monthly promotional ads targeted towards your potential clients and promotes them for you via social media and newsletter. There are clients searching for your specialty right now. Let us help them find you. Start your listing today so you can share your own unique gifts and talents by finding the level of membership that best fits your needs. Let us help you reach your clients that are searching for what you do. Visit metamorphosisconnections.com and sign up today.
Hi, this is Laura. Listen to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. or anytime via podcast. Our individual health is connected to the health of each other and connected to the health of the earth. We know the problems with the dominant food system: climate change, deadening soils, nitrates in the water, factory farming, injustice, concentration of wealth. How do we both as individuals and as a community step up and support a living food system which honors the earth? Tune to Food Freedom Radio every Saturday at 8 a.m. and remember to support your independent farmers.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. A heat advisory remains in effect as we expect clear skies tonight with a low around 71, then Thursday sunny with a high around 88. Discover the best peach cobbler at Latunji's Palette. Enjoy gourmet desserts, sandwiches, and coffee drinks. Find Latunji's at 1400 Park Avenue South in Minneapolis. Satisfy your sweet tooth and support a social enterprise built with purpose and fortified with love at Latunji's Palette. More at latunjispalette.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
And join us tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun. We are going to run an episode that we just recorded last Saturday at the Anderson House with Dave Schrader. You may have heard me say once or twice that we had this event with Dave Schrader coming up. Well, it happened last week, and we recorded an episode that was a kind of a Q&A with him, that the people in the audience had questions for him. We read them to him. He answered. It was a really fun episode, and we recorded it. It's going to be airing tomorrow. It's not a live episode, but it's really a lot of fun. I ask you to definitely check it out. It's great. Dave was in great form. So it's a really fun look into how he thinks about stuff, and we go deeper beyond just paranormal. We are talking with Joseph Stewart, author, demon hunter. We're talking about his book, Demons, A Secular Look. We're getting this is for those of you who've been listening, and we talk about demons and possession, all that. I feel like this is a very different take than what we talk about. Some of it is obviously very much the same, and others it's a unique, kind of a fresh perspective, I think. And I'd love to know your thoughts on it as well. And Joe, I just find this to be, I'm so fascinated, and I have a lot of questions that are just so, probably very basic, but I find it so interesting. Do you have in the book, there's a lot of like illustrations and stuff. Do you have actual pictures of anything that's surrounded by these cases you do?
We have videotapes, no pictures. A lot of these things were not visible to us. There were psychics that were there present that had seen them, and I had an artist do the drawing based on their sightings. Sure. And confirmation that's what it looked like.
So we got a question in the chat, and Kyle'd like to know, I would love to hear your take on what motivates demons. Why do they do what they do?
Hatred. Consider something that's extremely arrogant, and it looks at you as that you are inferior to it. And then consider that if you know their name, you can totally control them. And they're arrogant and you're inferior. That creates hatred for you.
Is it hatred also of them for you and us not being them? We're not their kind.
No, I don't think so. They fight. They hate each other. They fight each other. I mean, I use that to my advantage. Right. A lot of times I got a lot of leverage with their psychology.
You mentioned that they work in groups sometimes, or at least they appear in groups, but does that mean that they're working together or that they're just together?
It's no, they have a leader, but they're always trying to usurp that leader. And it's kind of a loose gang, but it's not very well organized. It's very chaotic. And you can imagine filling a room full of arrogant people and then give them a task to do. You can imagine what happens with that. They just cannot, it's very difficult for them to do anything. So the lead demon is the one that will be the basic one that does all the stuff. And the other ones will kind of like a pack will help also feed on that. But if I take that lead demon out, the next strongest one will take over and will pick up with his way of doing things, or she. There are female demons and male demons.
Do they die?
Yeah, everything dies. Nothing's permanent.
So they die, and I mean, so when you do your work, you can actually kill the demons that are afflicting on your clients.
Well, kill them in what way? They're not physical. I can't kill them that way. Mentally, I don't know if it's possible. I've never tried it, and I would have no way to confirm it.
So when you say they die, it's because of old age?
Yeah, or just, just like, hauntings with ghosts. It eventually dies out. It just stops.
So you think that's like, you think all spirits, like they eventually die? I mean, they don't go on forever and ever and ever?
No, they're just transformed from one thing to another, as far as I can see.
Interesting.
Ghosts I look at like they're like in another realm or another dimension, very similar to the demonic.
Mm-hmm.
Most times you can't feel them or see them, but there's times that you can. And they're so real that you can hear the heartbeat and they're warm to the touch. It just, and I don't understand how that phenomenon works. I've been researching it, but, going in the realm of quantum physics to help explain some of it.
Sure. And I mean, we're all going to find out at some point.
Yeah.
Over time, eventually. The book once again, folks, is called Demons: A Secular Look. It's available on Amazon. I'm also going to post it on GhostBoxRadio.com. I have a page called GhostBox Book Club where you can see all the authors that we have on the show. Joe, is there a story in here? One of your experiences that you've put in this book that is one that you could share with us? We have, about 10 minutes left. That would be of importance that people should know about, because there's so many in here. Is there one that just sticks out for you?
I guess the initial one where I met the incubus demon in the Pontiac house, that was my first real encounter with one that I knew what I was dealing with. And in that, I had a psychic with me. It was veiled. We couldn't tell what it was. We knew there was a presence, but we could not tell. I mean, usually with a ghost, they're busybodies. They'll be in your face and saying all kinds of things. And, and it's nothing like that. They're totally different than that. And I went into the room where the woman had all these encounters originally. And it always attacked and it dropped from the ceiling is what it did. And the psychic picked up on that. Well, at some point, I made the comment. I says, wow, that sounds like an incubus. And when I said that, the whole room changed. You could just feel the energy just shoot out. And it literally took over the psychic I had. I saw her face change. Mm. And that was like, that really freaked me out. And she had this crucifix that this guy that I was looking at the house, her boyfriend, it was blessed by the Pope. And it was a very big one, like about 12 inches. And it was made out of iron. And the Christ figure, the hand, she's holding it in her hand, in the palm of her hand, and the fist, one of the hands just broke off and fell to the floor. There's no way that could happen. I mean, this was casted in iron.
One of Christ's fists on the cross
just dropped to the floor, and she was holding it in the palm of her hand. Anyway, she started yelling at me, telling me that it's going to kill you, Joe. It's going to kill you. And it was planning on throwing me, because I was upstairs, throwing me over the railing to the floor below. And I was sitting there thinking like, no, it's not. It's going to stab me in the heart with that thing, because it's a very good dagger.
Yeah.
And I backed away from her, and she was able to get control. And I tried to console. I says, hey, I'm not here to do anything to you. No, I'm just here as a request to do an investigation, looking for ghosts and that. And then it tried to entice us to go to the basement. Well, come on down, go to the basement. I want to show you something. So now it's talking through her. Oh, I forgot. The first time we did it, we had, because it was a Catholic situation, we had holy water, and we had a crucifix and all that. And I remember when it first talked, it said like, the crucifix and the holy water is not going to help you. Not going to help you one bit.
No.
So I tried to get us into the basement, and a lot of other things happened. But eventually I said, she was really getting under control of this thing. I said, we got to get the hell out of here. And so we went down to the main floor, and there's a landing there where the basement was trying to get us to. And I went ahead and I was trying to pack things up to leave. And next thing I know, she comes walking down the stairs like in a trance and starts walking towards the landing because it wanted her in the basement. And she just started to fall. And I was able to just grab her by the collar and pull her back into the room. And that's, or up off the main stair. And that's when this black mass formed, this, what they call a black shuck with these red eyes. And you could hear it creaking on the floor. It's foul breath. And I mean, it was a hallucination, but it was a shared hallucination.
Sure.
That's how strong it was. And later on, she told me that was one of her big fears because her family's from England, was the black shuck. So that manifested. And then as we said, we got to get out of here because it really was influenced us badly. We went and left the place. We went to a fast food place. We wanted to get some coffee. And as soon as we pulled up, all the computers went down. And they said, well, we can't help you. I mean, we don't understand what happened. And she told me, she says, we got to keep going. It's still under the influence. They're still under the influence. So we went a few more miles. We went up to a McDonald's and they lost all their power. So we left there and we drove another like 10 miles. We got to this one place where finally it didn't affect us. So that's kind of a highlight of my first introduction to the demonic.
You had to outrun it, basically.
Yeah, outrun its influence. I mean, it's very powerful. And when I took a Detroit group back in there to do an investigation, this guy's wife was attacked by it. And I have it all on video where she is just, she's, oh, it's the most wonderful thing. It's so pleasurable. There's nothing bad here, I was getting ready to rape her. And the husband was like, no, it wouldn't do that in front of us. Are you kidding me? It'd probably get off on it.
Yeah.
Doing something like that. So it was 3 encounters that we had in that house till we finally took it out.
I'll tell you what's interesting is about a month ago, just over a month ago, something similar happened at an investigation that we were at, a few of us were at, and doing a method where someone was basically channeling. He would keep saying, come to the basement, bitches, come to the basement. And, and for the rest of the night, he kept saying, and he was seeing it not because he thought that he probably didn't realize he was under the control of whatever this was. But the point is that he kept saying, you know what, I want to go down there and I want to basically, kick its ass. Basically, I want to go down there. I want to go down there. And I had to keep telling him over and over again, we're not going down there. We don't go down there, because he didn't just say, come to the basements. He said, divide and come to the basement, bitches. Yeah. And he said it on 2 separate sessions. And, I'm not saying that that's demonic, but I am saying that that is a tactic. And, to your point, you got to listen to that stuff. And some people feel like they want to be heroes doing this stuff, and they don't in the slightest understand what's waiting for them.
Right. And I think that basement in our case was its stronghold because they seem to feed off the electrical system as well. And that's where the power box was. And when we did the investigation, the electricity, the electrical field was just off the charts. And we had to call it. They thought, oh, it's a bad ground. And I says, no, it's the entity that's creating this. And they checked it out and everything was fine. Once the entity was gone, the house was absolutely normal.
Huh. Yeah, no, and speaking of energy as well, we had kind of a safe room in this place, and they had a monitor in there. This is where we would go and hang out, and hopefully that nothing would come in and bother us. It had a monitor, and it had all these pictures of a security imagery throughout the house. And we were talking, and he's, once again, we got to go to the basement. We got to go to the basement. The monitors changed from 8 images to 1, and that was of the basement. Yeah. Just like kind of laugh. Yeah. No. And it was, I mean,
that's a common sense one.
that is a common. Well, I'll tell you, he did change his tune right away. He's just like, nope, I get it. Nope, we're not doing that. That was too see and say, I think, for all of us, where it's like, yep, that's not going to happen at all. Yeah, and we have just a couple minutes left. With that situation that you're talking about, I'm trying to understand if I heard this correctly. This entity got angry with you because you identified it as incubus. I mean, that you identified it at all.
Right. Like I said, the demons want to keep hidden. They don't want you to know they exist. And when I called out for what it was, it lost its temper and it got very angry. And its first instinct is to take me out.
Wow. And and yet after all of that whole incident, you're decided to keep going.
Well, you just run into more and more people that got all kinds of problems and they got nobody to turn to. I mean, nothing against the Catholics, but the church is just the politics. Even though they have a exorcist in all the dioceses, they don't want to do exorcisms at all.
No, they don't. And the amount,
they got nowhere to turn. And I really feel sorry for them because, they have such faith in their church and that. And then when this happens, they just get turned away. And then I have to go in and take care of the situation. And I would at least say, well, why doesn't a priest come out and at least bless the house or something, to be with their parishioners? But they don't do it.
And I'm not bashing priests or the religion, but I've heard more than one occasion of priests coming out there to do the blessing, seeing something they don't like, they keep their mouth shut and they leave. And that doesn't help anyone either.
No.
So the book is called Demons, A Secular Look. It's available on Amazon, authored by Joseph Stewart. Joe, thank you so very much for joining me tonight. This is fantastic. I really appreciate all your insight.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. We're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking with Mr. Dave Schrader. We're going to be having a lot of question and answer session recorded at the Anderson House. We'll see you all tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Join me, Tom Hartman, where smart people get their news. The Tom Hartman Program on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis.